Hey guys, Lancy here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me on looking to some more MTG market movers for the day. Thanks again for everyone's support, and please like and subscribe for more of this content and others. I am going to change at some point, but this is actually quite nice to get me into a pattern. So the first thing is Whir of Inventions from Secret Lairs. Now this has got that really cool D&D artwork with the cartoon graphics. And the card itself did start off at like $5, took a massive dive. Now it's sitting at $3, $4 for the market price, and $3.22. But if you look at the actual card prices of the ones in the previous sets, you can look at Aether Revolt as $3.29, and some of the pre-release cards going for like $8. This card should be worth more unless they really sold a lot of these Secret Lairs. It's one of those things that you always think about and go, if they're going to sell maybe, let's say 100,000 or 100,000, maybe like 20,000 of these kinds of Secret Lairs, then how much of an increase would you expect when it's half or less of the actual printings that have existed in the past? Because that makes it quite rare unless they expect this art to be printed in the future. It went up by 65%, which is still a big jump, but I think that's mostly from the market manipulation than anything else. Next is Pandemonium. So this is from Time Shifted, been climbing up and been on the list a couple of times in the past. You can see that it's just slowly climbing up. It is a nice card. There is one other printing of it at $2.96, which means that at $2.45 this can still have some potential to move up. But Exodus is actually a bit harder, or should I say a lot harder to get. It should be a lot rarer. So Pandemonium on both should actually start increasing. They might actually do it at some point in the next couple of weeks. Next is Breeding Pool from Secret Lairs. Now this is another one of those cards where you'd expect the average price to actually be much higher because you wouldn't think many people bought this Secret Lair. That artwork is unique, so why wouldn't the price go up? Now you can actually see that in the last couple of days it has gone up. It's $23 market average price up to $30, so that's a huge jump. But it's one of those things that should be predicted because now you can actually look at every other one, and the average price for Gatecrash is $25.95, which means that this is only what, $4 more expensive, and it should have sold a lot less. I think you had to go out of your way to get these Secret Lairs, so unless everyone did them, then I would expect them to be more expensive, especially for some where people didn't think that the value was that certain. Jandor's Ring from Arabian Nights. No, not a reserve list card. It is 75 cents on revised edition. But it is an Arabian Nights card. It had a huge, what feels like manipulated spike up. You can see it went from $31 to $47 in pretty much a day. That's for the market price. The average price has been quite volatile, moving up and down. You're going to have to keep an eye on cards like this. They're collector's items. But if they're not on the reserve list, they don't really catch my eye. Lin Civi, Defiant Hero from Nemesis, a Rebel legend. So this card is obviously going to go up every time there's new Rebels announced. It looks for Rebels, it does some cool stuff with them. It's a fun card, I guess. It's sitting quite cheap right now at $2 or 95 cents on TCG. Not on the reserve list, never been reprinted. It is a very gimmicky card. There aren't that many Rebels right now, but you know, it really does depend on what people are looking at this card for. So it's been on the list a few times in the past, quite stable now. It went up by probably about 20% today, I think, but I wouldn't expect it to stay like this at all times. Next, Altvara Hellkite. Now this is a completely different scenario where most of them, there's two different printings, Return to Ravnica and Commander 2017, are sitting at $15.24. The average market price for this one is $13, or should I say in between $13 to $19. So probably around about $15 as well, but you can see a massive catch-up spike in the last couple of days. So what's going on here? Dragons. So dragons have come out recently, so this is a great pickup for Commander. Bassandra Battle Seraph from Commander. So this is one of those weird cards which I'm not too sure why it gained 14 or 15% today, because if I try to zoom in as much as I can, it went from $6.28 to $7.22. Okay, that's why it went up by 15%, but the spike that it had before is completely skewing up my graph. It went from $1.63 to $100, and then it did not stabilize properly for a long time. What are people doing? Anyway, you can get this card for another $1.50 or $1.77. Conspiracy and Commander Anthology. It's an okay angel. Art looks cool. Next, Mishra's Workshop from Antiquities. So this card has been very volatile, massive buyouts. It peaked at $9,500, stupid price. Actually, I say stupid price because the average price at that point was $1,826. So those were probably the premium prices that were being changed over on whatever card companies that had stock of them. But you can see that the price has actually gone up from, let's say, November 2nd, 2020 to that was around $2,000. Now it's sitting at $4,000. So while not as crazy as some other reserve list cards, this is probably still one of the highest price points that you can get for antiquities for some of these. And it's actually being played in certain decks as well, like MUD and Fire and Ice. So, yeah, if you guys have this much money to throw around, then I guess go for it. But in my eyes, I feel like, once again, this kind of price means that you can probably find better value at some of the cheaper reserve list cards that are still played in a lot of places. Dresden from Modern Horizons 2, a great card, but you can see that it is starting to turn around for at least the base market price. The average price is still gaining at $6, but we'll have to see what happens. It went up at 13% or 14% today. You cannot get it for any cheaper than this price, so about $5 is what you're going to pay for Dresden right now. It's probably okay since it is picked up in a lot of decks. In fact, this price still feels cheap, maybe only because packs are still being opened. So maybe instead of getting this card, you can just open up a booster pack. If you get to one or two of them, then you get $10 worth of value. Good enough? Yeah, maybe. Next, Nature's Cloak from Starter 1999. Now, we've seen this card multiple times. This is very volatile, jumping all over the place. You can look at the market price when it went up by $2.23 to $2.40. Not anything to write home about. I think that this is one of those pick up if you really, really want that art or something to do with the card. But you're not going to get much out of a card like this. Not on the reserve list. Went up by 13% today. So the portal version, yes, that's $17.20, but this one got printed a few more times, and yeah, it depends on if you actually want to use it or not. In my eyes, it's not really the best card. Omen of Fire, completely different. It's actually a good card, but it's such a good card that I actually think it's a feel-bad card in Commander, and so for that reason, I wouldn't put that much value to it. But you can see that it had some massive spikes. So this is from Alliance. It had a spike in 2018, December, around about August to December 2018, and obviously another spike from the January 7th to April 6th of 2026, and then started falling back down. And then ever since, what is that, August 10th was the big drop, and then August 10th to today, so it's in the last 6 days, this card has taken off again. So may come up on our list multiple times in the future, because when a card does something like this, that means that it's about to get another leg up. And if it's starting at this point, which was the previous high, then it could double or triple the price it is right now, which will be completely broken. So we'll keep an eye on that. All Hallows Eve from Legends. So this is a Legends card on the reserve list. It has been oversized printed, but that's not good enough. So good card, yes. Spiking again, yes. I'm not too sure if we can follow this kind of spike. We'll have to keep an eye on it. That looks pretty organic, nothing crazy. Just another, maybe 10% or 20% for the gain. But when it comes to $480, like, that's a big change. So we'll have to see if it keeps it up. Last two, Exquisite Archangel from Aether Revolt. Now, this is a Commander card, I'm sure of it, because it is way too expensive to be played anywhere else. Yep, so pre-release is $10.90. Commander version of this card, obviously it's a mythic, so it's not really hard to get, but it's something that people are going to hold on to. At $2.43, pretty good price. So even a gain of like 10% for this card, pretty good. You can see that it had its market average peak sorry, market peak at $3.46 and then started dropping all the way down to $2.43. But the average price has always stayed pretty high. So that's a divergence, which we have not seen this card ever do as much as it is right now. So yeah, that's the average price is going up, but the market price is going down. Standstill from Odyssey. So very simple card to follow. You can see that it's been gaining pretty steadily, not on the reserve list. A media promo got released. Cool out. Where it's $8.83, but this one is sitting at $7.55, which means I actually think that this card, the media promo, is probably what you should be looking at because that looks way cooler. And unless it was printed more, it's about the same price. Really? Okay. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, the foil version of this makes sense. Odyssey foil would be hard to get. But an average market price is $7.75. Does that mean that this is actually as rare to get as a media promo of Standstill? Let me know what you guys think. Next, we'll go straight into MTG Goldfish. So, the biggest gains and drops for this today is actually not that impressive. Nothing hit the 10% mark. Corval did a pretty good job at 4%. Halva did a good job at 6%, now sitting at $11. But nothing hit the 10% mark. So that's kind of a surprise. That might be the first time in the last couple of weeks that I've done this that it hasn't done that. And nothing really took a 10% drop either. Obviously, the weekly changes are all going to be there. So there's a Terrors of the Peak gaining by 9% for the week, so it's sitting at 26.66. Ren and Seri moving up by 7% to Nissan sit at $13. But yeah, this just not good enough of a gain. That's not very interesting in standard. Next, moving over to modern. Sword and Fire and Ice gaining a 7% to sit at $66.46. Brushlands gaining by 16% to now sit at $13.83. And Pithing Needle moving up by 14% to sit at $8. But that still feels kind of boring compared to the last couple of days. Chalice of the Void did take a 10% dump. And Hercule's Recall took 11% fall as well, sitting at $7.89. The weekly changes are not really that impressive. Maybe I'll do the weeklies just once a week so it actually makes them interesting. But I feel like sometimes I catch what the dailies don't. And for Pioneer, Revel and Riches is 5% gain. So this card has been gaining pretty steadily over time, sitting at 1866. No 10% gains in this list at all. No 10% drops in the Pioneer list. Obviously, there are some changes in the weekly changes. Revel and Riches gaining 31% for the week. Alpine Moon now sitting at $10, like 37% gain. So the gains are all there. The biggest drops, not even 10% on that. So the biggest drops is Colligan's Command dropping by 9%, so sitting at 1723. Yeah, it just feels flat. I am going to check out Legacy and Vintage and probably add that to my list from now on. It's just I feel like they're just so boring or manipulated at all times. So Demonic Attorney, obviously $7.50, now at 12% gain for the day. Contract from Below apparently dropped down by 98%. I don't believe that, but that looks really broken. Sitting at $800. You can see the weekly changes, nothing crazy of a 10% gain. Contract Below did drop by 97%. That doesn't feel right. You guys can let me know if that's correct or not. Falling Star dropped by 17% to now sit at $195. And for Legacy, you got Badlands from Unlimited gaining 21%, now sit at $1,029. That is really annoying. I kind of wanted to get those Unlimited lands, but I was like, I'm too late. Actually, I switched over to the top losers. You got Tropical Island dropping down by 19% to now sit at 1,417. Tundra dropping down by 12% to now sit at 1,100. And Tiger dropping down by 3% to sit at $875. So maybe there's still a give and take here where some of them are moving up, some of them are moving down. Very hard to kind of pinpoint which one is going to do well, which one isn't. But you guys can let me know in the comments below, because right now the dual lands are kind of just stagnating, flatlining, not really doing much. The Bayou is moving up, but then you got Badlands like doing nothing at all. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the next couple of days, but you guys can let me know what you think. Thanks again, and have a good one. See you guys.